Hello, everyone. As you can tell, this is a sixth or eighth video tonight that I've made. Um, mm, these are kind of a tough subject. I was going to skip it for a while or whatever, but I thought because I've been in, okay, hang on, let me back up my disclaimer. Uh, don't take this as medical advice. I'm not a medical professional. This is my personal journey. This is my experiences in dealing with a dark triad person and what you have to go through. And in my case, it's just divorce. It's just, and then from whatever thing I learned, that's pretty much what you're going to have to do. You just can't have to face up with it. I know it hurts, but it is what it is. Save yourself the trouble and don't waste 37 years of your life like I did in getting away from these people. Okay, in the last video, I was talking about some people who have been back. Sorry, legs cramping a little bit. It's talking about some people that were cut out of my life. They're coming back in my life now and telling me things they knew about from back then. And it reminded me of two things. And I know I told you in the last one. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot. Yep, out shower today. It's back here. If you watched the last video, you know what that's about. Good and funny. In the last video, though, I made a note about cut off your head. Okay. This is going to take a little bit of backstory and history. Tara and I have separated multiple times. And when that's I've still got to think that through because I think she gaslighted me and drug me back in, and that's part of the narcissistic disposal cycle. Either at one of the times we were separated, and like I say, I tried to be a nice guy. Tara was out of work. I worked for a particular company. I worked over in the warehouse and supervisor over in the warehouse, and they had a department that had some openings. So I was trying to be nice. They're in a different building, so I figured it'll be safe. Not that much around us when we were separated. We wasn't divorced. Um, we did have an agreement where we could see other people. So we were married in name only, more or less. So anyway, I got her a job over there. Okay. And she's working that job. I'm working over here. Well, someone who sorry about that. Someone who worked at the company had a little band and he did a company invite, for a bunch of people that he knew liked that kind of music per se. And it was kind of bluesy, poppy, whatever. And he invited a bunch of people. It's like, hey, man, you guys come out see our band. And we'll just kind of make it a company. It's kind of an unofficial company thing we did. Either I got to explain this. I got a particular style of woman that I think is attractive. And that's a gypsy girl or a little Italian girl. Round backside, boobs. I'm not a boob guy, so that's whatever. Preferably light skin, but dark skin is fine, and black hair. This thinks that's pretty. Fruza Balk is, I think, is one of the very attractive ladies, women, whatever. Okay, so there was a girl that worked there that looked like that, and it's kind of been chatting with her because I'm single. I can do that now, and I was certainly not as great back then as I am now, but for all I know, she's as great as I am now. So it's been a while. Anyway, so I'm chatting with her, and I think I went out with her for a drink one time before, whatever, either way around. And I mean, like I said, I'm kind of a straightforward person. I was like, hey, want to go that little thing with me? And she's like, oh, sure. Just quick and easy. So we were both, I think, on the same page. And so we get there, and I was on eggshells, and in hindsight, 2020, I was on eggshells because I know how Tara is. I knew then how Tara is, and I was waiting for the explosion because she showed up with her date. But that's okay for Tara to do that, but it's never okay for me. I'm supposed to sit at home alone crying in my soup uh, while Tara goes out and does whatever she wants. And that's been the problem in our relationship since the beginning. Around, so I show up with this gal, and this gal dressed up, and I was more impressed than I normally was. And I'm not, like I say, I'm not a favorite big boobs or whatever, but her shirt was letting me know that she has, yeah. So she was really looking good that night. And I was thinking, she's with me. Yeah. Okay, so we're being casual, everything's going wrong fine, and I'm actually kind of kicking myself in the ass. I was like, I was ready for this bad thing to happen from Tara over this, and it didn't happen. Okay, this is going to have a human adult night tonight. I don't remember how many people there. There's a bunch of people there. She was with a guy. He was about 60 years old, 50, something like that. He was gray. He's divorced, blah, 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 blah. Tall and skinny, because she has kind of a look too. She likes tall and skinny. I'm kind of tall and skinny. Well, I'm getting a gut going, but that's another story. That's old age. But either way, um, and it always happens. You girls did your bathroom run. Yeah. I know what goes on in the bathroom run. I've had women tell me. Um, and we guys are back at the table doing the same thing. I'm just making sure everyone's clear about that. So either way, they do their bathroom run, and this gal comes back, and she's kind of acting standoffish, and I was like, okay. And I mean, okay, just to be kind of, I realized that women have certain things happen to them, and if she and I were planning to, get a little hoochie coochie going that night, there is a monthly reminder that she may not be able to, it's just, and it just kind of the way she was acting, the grumpiness that comes along, because I do know women well enough to understand how that happens to you. And I'm not blaming you for it happening. I feel for you. I do. Thank God guys don't have to go through that. I don't know that we could handle it. But either around, the way she was acting, I just figured, well, that's great. She got her monthly mistress and, with us, whatever. And so she was kind of really standoffish and kind of grumpy, irritable, that kind of thing. That's what happened. And so when I dropped her off, I was like, so we do this again sometime? She goes, well, maybe. I was like, oh, okay, that was not the monthly visitor. So we went about a couple of days at work. Well, okay, yeah. Let me go through the story that way, yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to think about how to tell the whole story that's going on because I found out about the whole story later. But so we went through a couple of days at work, and she's just been really standoffish, and I'm an open guy. I want to know if I did something wrong, if I can fix it, or if it's not fixable. That's fine. There's nothing I can do about that. So I finally hit her up. We were at break, and I said, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" And she kind of looked really nervous, and I was like, "Did Tara do something?" I mean, it just dawned on me. She goes, "Well," I said, "Listen," I said, "I know Tara well." I said, "You probably need to tell me." I said, "What happened?" So she told me that when they went in the bathroom, uh, because I think everybody knew. I mean, these are signals that humans give off to each other that I'm I'm ready or you kind of thing, whatever. Everyone knew, including Tara. She could see it. And the guy she was with, I could see that he wouldn't. No, he's just like, hey, I'm just here for the drinking company, and that happens. There are chemicals, there are attractions, everything else involved. They do around. Tara took her aside in the bathroom because women talk or whatever. Took her aside in the bathroom and said, if you, I can't say that. I'm sorry. I need to go back and bleep that out because she did use the F word. If you F my husband, notice my husband, I know where you live. I'll sneak in your house tonight and cut your head off. And apparently she was convincing enough that this gal was exiting stage left. And I don't blame her. I really don't. And it did exactly what Tara wanted it to do. It threw the kibosh on that. Me and her went out a few times, and I mean, well, I'm not going to give details of that, but either way around, we went out a few times, but we never, no, she could never get over the fact that Tara was an extremely dangerous person, and she could see it, and I couldn't, I guess, at the time. All right, and okay, and this is why I'm talking about this. This is number 2 on the list. I've got these notes that I've made while I was talking. I thought about this. I was going to put it off, but now I'm going to talk about it. All right. Tara ended up getting a life insurance policy on me. I don't remember if it's $250,000 or $500,000. Yeah. The last place we were living at, it's kind of a really long story about how we ended up there. it was supposed to be the thing that we were going to become the inheritors of. This gal was trying to run a rescue, but I ended up figuring out that in the end it wasn't a rescue. The rescue is a was the facade for an animal hoarder. But we were supposed to inherit this property. I was working. I remodeled. I actually built a barn dominium. Uh, it was just one little room in a garage when we started off, and I put in the kitchen and I put in the cabinets. I did an open living space. It was literally one huge room. But it was everything. It was a dining room, everything. And I did the circle couches, and on one wall, just put two windows on the edges of it and use it for a projection screen. Had the place set up really nice, and then I was going to convert the garage slowly into a bedroom, big bedroom, and split the bathroom off, et cetera, et cetera. It had no bathroom in it when I first started. The way around, we moved into this place. This gal was recovering alcoholic and a nurse, and so I'm thinking, okay, well, this may work out for us. And the whole idea was, and this was the deal we made, was that I would put in all this work. I was just constantly repairing things around there. I was improving the property, building houses. I mean, more or less, a barn dominium. I built it, the hands ground up, insulated it, everything. And I ended up doing. I've got some pictures somewhere about it. I may post them, just kind of for the kickers of doing that. I created a huge bedroom. I took to where the garage door was, and I lifted the roof up. I changed the angle some, but I did a curve on it, so it still had the good runoff it needs. That's everyone always screws that up. But I did big bay windows, like you would see in the Hampton style homes. The windows that come out into the big octagon, and they were floor to ceiling. But not, I found some windows that were really great for doing this, and they were double hung, so you could open top and bottom and go in the center. Lots of airflow, this really beautiful view, all this kind of stuff. And anyway, set the bed up. I was actually going to back the bed up this way, so you were looking out the window when you woke up. But I don't know, I didn't like the layout, so I ended up doing a big bench seat, uh, big storage area for blankets and things like that. Anyway, but I'm saying all this for a reason, because I put a lot of work into this place. The material cost on that alone was, I think, God dang, how much did I spend? 12 or $17,000 just buying that stuff. Either way, and this gal. Now, first, me and this gal were getting on pretty well, and she was actually calling Tara out on some of the stuff. So I was like, "Hey, this is good. This is healing." Tara's got this woman now that won't let her get away with some of the things she did, and blah blah blah. Well, Tara started trying to cut me off from sex and started animal hoarding again and living in squalor, and I wouldn't do that. And I don't remember how I mentioned it to that lady. And she basically called her out on it. She goes, "If you're not going to have sex with him, he's going to leave you. That's part of what you're supposed to be doing." Blah blah blah. Called her out on it. So they got to be enemies for a while. So and that worked. I hate to say that way, but it worked in my favor because it was the help I think Tara needed at the time. Sorry, Chicken Lips has come back. With a petting. Yes, I haven't fulfilled my petting duties today for Chicken Lips. So her and Tara, she began to manipulate Suzanne. That was her name, Suzanne. And I never paid attention because I'm busy. I'm running a remodeling business at the time, and remodeling that place that I'm living in while I'm living in it. So I mean, I had to sleep on couches for weeks at times. Either way, so I got these things going, and I wasn't paying attention. Suzanne had simply stopped alcohol and traded them for hydrocodone. And because she was a nurse and she was doing the hospice stuff, uh, she was able to look at that bottle, brand new upper bottle, 60 tablets, and write on a little deal, 30, and stick it back. She had a baggie full of hydrocodone. I don't know about the drug stuff anymore. I haven't been involved in that since I smoked pot when I was a kid. And that's pretty much it. But it was this huge supply. And plus she was on a prescription for it from two different doctors. So she was working the system. And she had huge supplies. She was taking, I think, 8 or 12 of those things a day. And I can't take a half of one. I'm out either way. So all she had done is traded, hey, don't chew on that. Hang on a second. Oh, look out, butthead. Sorry, I had the cat chewing on my microphone cord. That's not good. All right, but either way around, she had just simply traded alcohol for drugs. And I didn't realize this until things started. And by the time things started going south, they were going south quick. And I knew what happens in these situations. I've been through it enough with Tara. When I can see it with the third person, I know where we were going. Ended up moving to the property I'm at now. I'd been saving up money, and I knew I could make the money to do what I wanted to do. Out in Mineola, Texas, there was a failed attempt to make a mobile home park. The whole park was for sale, and I almost had that much money cash at the time to do that. But the whole idea was just going to move to the property here, continue running the business to get the money I needed, not only to buy the property, because buying the property is not the hard part. I mean, I had the cash, like I said, to do that. Now I'm going to have to buy 30 mobile homes, septic systems. Well, I mean, so you start adding this money up, and I figured I probably needed about 60,000 more dollars, something like that, because I was going to buy the used ones and throw them in. And get what you do is you throw the used ones in, get the lower class of people. Sorry, but that's what it is. Get the money starting to flow from them and put them all the way on this end. You go all the way to this end and put in the nice homes, get the higher class of thing, and then slowly fill the park up. And then as you get to this end, it's like, hey guys, sorry, I gotta improve things around here. You have to find another place to live. And so you end up building the whole park off that simple business plan, done a million times, no big deal. And this is why I say that, because of the Tara thing. All right, to back up, the whole idea was I was going to move in here temporarily. Me and Tara were separated at that time. We'd had actually, while the fight was going with this crazy woman down there, we'd separated. I was tired of it. I said, and then it was originally suggested I live in an RV, and I was going to have to give the house I just built with my own two hands to Tara. And I was like, ain't happening. I said, I'll be out tonight, screw you. And they were in a position where they had to have me there working, because they couldn't afford to actually pay anybody to do what I was doing. They just couldn't do it. And the electric, exactly as a deal. The electric at that house was ready to kill somebody. It was horrible. And she decided she's going to call the real electrician. You know, I've done electric work all my life. So she's going to call the real electrician. Real electrician shows up, gave her a number, and her jaw, she had to run outside to pick up, you know, and roll it back up. And I was like, yeah, I tried to tell you this stuff's expensive. This is what I'm doing for you, you know. Anyway, so I've got to cover all these bases. I know it's kind of, like I said, it's going to turn into a long story, and I can't help it. So this form of manipulation is going on between these two users, and I was stuck in the middle. And the only thing I was doing at that point was just trying to survive and get out. And so I got Tara into a RV. I refused to do it. I remodeled the RV for her so she could move into it. And it's beautiful. And it wasn't running, but it was a beautiful place to live. Of course, she trashed it out. I've got pictures of that too. Totally trashed it. And then the day when I finally left, I mean, we got knockdown arguments because that woman could see us. I was out. She didn't have me under her control, another manipulator. And I was leaving, and that screwed her bad, because she couldn't do all this work. She couldn't have all this work done that she needed done, and I wouldn't do it. And it was just that simple. She was mad at me. And I was leaving, and there was a big argument over who owned that policy, because Tara had been paying for it, and Tara's a beneficiary, you know. And they want me to sign it over, and just the way they were doing it, you know, your instinct kicks in, and I was like, no, I'm not going to sign it over. I'm not going to do it, because something was wrong. I could just feel it. Didn't know what it was, but something was wrong, and ends up I'm right. Right before I was ready to leave, and see, this is the gaslighting thing. I need to go back and I need to self-evaluate. Did I, because she claims that I love bombed her and drug her away from that place to move up here. And my thinking on the events is not the same as hers. And I've caught some inconsistencies in her story. And because I know about dark manipulators now, I see that she probably gaslighted me and manipulated me on some of this. But the important part of the story comes up during this, because during our conversation, because we walked out to the back fence, I don't remember, we were talking about something. I was like, well, let's just walk out here and talk, because I didn't want this woman to hear anything I had to say. I certainly didn't want her to know about the plans I had to buy a mobile home park, all this fun stuff. I just didn't, it was just, I didn't want her to know any more than she already knew. So either way around, we walk out to the back fence and we stand there, and I don't remember what all we were talking about. And I know part of what I said was, hey, cut me off from sex. That was a mistake. It just makes me mad, angry. It it builds distance between us. I said, that's why we're separated. And during all this conversation, I don't know, and that's why I say I really need to go back and see if I can remember this whole conversation. So I got an itch and it's behind underneath this thing. Maybe around during this whole conversation, the important part was mentioned. She goes, well, I don't remember exactly how she said it, so just take this as a caveat. Well, Suzanne planned to murder you. And that's shocking to hear. Let me throw this in, could you get these people that get mad at you at Walmart? Could you cut them off, or you grab the last biscuit or whatever? I won't kill you or whatever. Because when she said it, I believed it. I still believe it. But I don't think I was told the whole story, because I was like, okay, how the hell, what? Because you're in shock about these things. She goes, well, you know, the plan was, I was supposed to come in and have sex with you. And then after you go to sleep, because men do that. That's what we do. It's such a release, and helps us sleep. Okay. And I knew that Suzanne had this. She had stolen a huge bottle of insulin, very high strength insulin of some kind, for a diabetic person. And Suzanne's plan was that if she ever got terminally ill, and this is her value of life. So she's a sociopath as well, no question. She was going to use that and commit suicide. Okay. Well, I'm not saying I agree with it, disagree with it. There's certain stages in your life, I think, where you should be able to take that choice, but that's a personal political view, whatever. The whole idea was that Tara was going to come in and sex me, uh, get me to fall asleep, and then was going to give me an insulin shot between the toes and kill me. Let that settle in for a minute. Those two had a plan to murder me for either a quarter of $500,000 life insurance policy. That's a sociopath. And of course, now the story's changed. Oh, well, I just thought it was a joke. I didn't actually take it serious. And that's bullshit. Because the Wise County District Attorney's Office has a record. I made Tara go up there. I was like, hey, this isn't joking. This isn't, just what, and I said, so and this is part of the agreement. I was, okay, let me back up some. Because I told her right then and there, after she told me that, we were talking about something, and I was still in shock, and I really was. We were talking about something, and I said, well, Tara, and I said, you may be her best friend right now, but I was her best friend too while I was doing all this stuff for her. But then when when my value dropped, now we're down to the value that what my value is to her, is she planned to have you murder me for money. I said, what do you think she's going to do? I said, you know, here, Tess, sign this insurance policy. It'll be okay. I mean, so this chick, and she's not a nurse anymore. I found that out. Her name's Suzanne Chappell. Um, lives down in Boyd. But if she's going to murder me, she'll definitely. And I told her that. I said, if she doesn't have any more value of life than that, what's she going to do to you? I mean, when your value to her has got to the point that the only thing you're worth is however much of an insurance policy she can afford to pay for it for a few months, so they don't, ask too many questions about you kicking over dead out here, you know. And I think at least I think from her own manipulative standpoint, understood the other manipulator enough to realize that I was telling the truth. So Tara decided, hey, I just said it. Tara decided, hey, let's get back together. So I was gaslighted. See how your memory works when you go through this. This is why I'm doing these videos. I was gaslighted because she keeps telling me that I love bombed her and drug her up here to this new property. Huh. Why am I not surprised again? It's just another in a long chain of manipulative lies. But either way around, the point of this video is, and you need to pay very, 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 very close attention to this because the sociopath can and will kill you. And if these two women, if I wouldn't just, I don't know, I got lucky, to be honest about it, I think, because they planned to murder me. And that's not the only time that I think that Tara has probably done something along those lines or thought about it or planned it or whatever. I don't know all of those details yet because some of these people coming out of the word work are not, they haven't told me everything yet. I just don't have a lot of time to communicate with everything I've got going on or whatever. But I cannot emphasize enough um, the dangers that these people have because they're not truly emotionally attached to you because they don't have true emotions, but they are bonded to you in such a way through the manipulation that when you start to break away from that manipulated standpoint, they can't stand it. And every doctor out there has said the same thing. They can't stand it. They go crazy. And if you've got someone who values life no more than I just told you they value my life on that, they will kill you. Or if they've got an insurance policy in your name, uh, you need to run. You need to get out of the relationship. You need to go away, and you need to read and listen to the narcissistic recycle routine. You need to read about that and understand it because I've been through that. I don't know how many times now, and I went through it this last time. This time I stopped the cycle. And I will stop the cycle because I recognize it for what it is. She's already done what the doctor said she will do. She's still trying to play a little game, which she manipulates me to preserve her escape route in case things go south where she's running away to right now. And they will. Those people will see through it. Well, I'm getting some clues and indications that they may have some pretty bad mental problems over there too. They may actually be manipulators. So it may be another little coven of manipulators, and that's fine, whatever. It's because she's not coming back here no matter what. Either way, try to be safe out there. Try to take what I just said very, very seriously. That these people have no true value of human life. They don't. They just don't. And if you're dealing with one of them that's like mine is or was, I'm not saying they're always like that, but they just like I was saying earlier about catching their in the affair. Now, you have an impulse that you just really want to hurt them back, you want to kill them, things like that. That's natural, I think, for every human being to have that impulse. But we, as we as normal people, don't act on that impulse. These sociopaths do. Okay, that's what I'm trying to tell you. And if that impulse is to kill you, they will do it. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. It turned into a lot of videos tonight. Um, hopefully you learned something. Hope you seek help. Hopefully your life gets better. Hopefully you get strong enough to do what you know you need to do. Yeah, I mean, I believe you know you need to do it. Hope what I'm telling you will give you enough strength that you can stand up, do what you need to do, and to go off and make your life better with someone else, because that's what you need to do. Thanks again.